Okay, thank you very much. And just say thank you to our Zoom audience for staying with us all the time this afternoon. Okay, I will tell you two interesting things about myself and why I actually had a wish to participate today in this symposium. I have taught English throughout two different educational systems, one being the UK and the other one Montenegro. And I was teaching from the kindergarten level all the way to higher education, okay, in both countries. So I experienced different types of teaching and different requirements, and I thought maybe I could say something about student-centered academic language learning. Okay. And this is my outline. Actually, the focus of my presentation is in the very center of the slide, and it is about how I eventually embedded concordance and corpus analysis in an ESP syllabus. But that's the center, and I'm going to start with my case study, okay? And in that case study, my students and I myself, we are the main characters. It all started in 2011 and 12 when I was teaching ESP modules during our pre-sessional programs. And I guess in 2012, I was asked to teach around 10 students who were going to become master's students, but they were studying completely different things. Maybe one or two were going to study linguistics, one construction engineering, another one life and health sciences. They were just all students, while everyone else was teaching business students and they had their books. I didn't have a suitable book for any of my students. So for the first 2 weeks, I really struggled, and I was even at the point of leaving my job because I just had to copy and experiment. And on top of that, we had a visit by BALIP, British Association of Lecturers in English for Academic Purposes. That's not an acronym anymore. It's their name now. So I had also to show how I was an innovative teacher. Okay, so in order to resolve this problem, I turned to different literature. It didn't help me. I just couldn't fix it in a week or two. And I started considering different things. And that's in point 2, if you can see here. And I did manage to resolve this situation successfully, and that helped me introduce concordance tools in my future modules, and eventually I started embedding concordancing and concordance and corpus analysis in my regular modules. So here you can see, and I have to speak fast now and maybe skip some of the points because the time is much shorter. So that happened basically in 2011 or 12, but I've been teaching the same types of students during this period between 2011 and 2021. So I have lots of experience. They're pre-sessional programs and students from our international partner universities, from China, Aston International Year Abroad, and Japan, UK Year Abroad. Okay. My classes are usually small, between 8 and occasionally 20 students. Age range is 19-26. Students come from different countries. They were mainly from China and Japan, but some other students as well, including the EU students. And program length can be anything between 5 to 26 weeks, 3 to 10 contact hours per module, and we were teaching either one tutor per group or sometimes team teaching. Okay, and at some point, I thought I could introduce concordance tools, not during my sessions, but in some experimental sessions. So that was the first step. There were some other steps, but at the end now I've been using concordances in my regular modules. So this slide shows the considerations that I had to take for the use of concordances in the learning processes, because I didn't know if that was right or wrong. My manager said she put all her trust in me, and I just had to do something. What you can see, these references now, they're just references that I found much, much later, but this is actually the model that I developed, and possibly other people have some similar models. Basically, when teaching ESP students, we need to consider needs assessment, just like any other course, then syllabus design, which was very challenging for me, methodology as well, and materials design. How on earth can I find these lecturers in the relevant academic fields, maybe 5 or 6 different fields, to talk to me about the materials in the middle of August? They were all on holiday. So I didn't know what to do, and for the first 2, maybe even 3 weeks, I was struggling, and then I decided to use concordances and corpus analysis. For my theory, because I had no time, I took the BALIP accreditation handbook, because obviously these experts were using theories, and I followed the advice. My key advice was be innovative and original. Okay, that's what I was going to do. And I also had a lot of research experience, knowledge of the target language, subject-specific discourse, maybe, and I was taught different aspects of the language learning and teaching pedagogy. Okay. So this is my model, and possibly you cannot see the model. On this side, there is the description of different stages throughout the weeks. So now I have enlarged this, and this is what my scheme of work that reflects syllabus looks like. So basically, I almost wasted the first 2 weeks, but I did identify my students' pain points, and they are mainly the same. For international students, they need to develop subject-specific vocabulary and learn new grammar and sentence patterns, including lexical grammar patterns. Just as I say, you need to put some spice on rice. It can't be just plain language. Okay, so, and they do understand that, and I have different metaphors for them, so they understand. In addition, they can see the assessment criteria, so all good reasons to study. But from some previous experiences, I knew that just if you demonstrate something to students, that doesn't mean, even though they may be odd or they can say, wow, that's great, but they then don't do it. They simply ignore it. So I decided that there is step 2, which is very important, preparation for corpus analysis. So I had to introduce something that they would find really, really useful. And here you can see I was using Scale Sketch Engine, Adjust the Word, concordance tools, and then academic word list that is linked to Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English, the definitions and even more examples, and Cambridge English Dictionary online. So they liked all those tools. They were interested in learning, but only, you know, in words, nothing happened. When I had individual tutorials with them, I asked them, do you remember this Scale Sketch Engine? Have you been using it? Out of 10, 2 were using it, and I really was disappointed. So then I decided that I had to be persistent, and hopefully something good will happen. It was only in week 4 that I introduced and conc, and that was a good bite, because I was telling my students that they would need to start doing something about their academic research, about their assessment, and I was going to help them. So on the other side here, you can see students' independent work. I can't go through it now, but you will be able to see this scheme of work, and if you are interested, you can apply it in your teaching. A very important point is the use of vocabulary books, even for those who were using Scale, Sketch Engine, and Conc and everything else. If they're not recording their new knowledge, their new words and patterns, etc., they would just forget them. Okay, and in week 5, they were using their own corpora and analyzing the corpora, because it was part of their assessment to analyze several academic articles, and they had to produce either a report or an essay. So it was very important for them anyway to use these articles, and that's how they formed their individual corpora. Another important point here is in week 6, knowledge reinforcement. So I asked them to share their knowledge. At the beginning, it was very challenging. Maybe some of them were not doing their homework and similar. That's why this scheme of work is quite fluid. But anyway, it was successful. I especially encouraged them to present something to compare their findings. So they were using their results. And in the last part of the course, they had to write drafts using certain new sentence patterns, because they were given feedback on their drafts. And they also had peer review and peer feedback. So it was not something, as I would say, dry. It was quite engaging type of learning. Okay, now I have to move on, maybe 1 more minute left. I do think that corpus and concordance tools, the use of them, can be incorporated in ESP classes, but that has to be done somehow purposefully, so that the students know that that is helpful to them, and the way we are doing it ensures that their knowledge remains and they actually activate their language knowledge. It's not just passive knowledge. For that purpose, the tutors, of course, I can't teach all these modules and to use the concordances, and some students were really improved their knowledge and language use. So the other colleagues noticed that, but they were not willing to do the same. So it was just an isolated case. And in the conclusion, I can just highlight this middle part, and that is my proposed learning model. So yes, learning needs analysis, just like for any other language course. Then preparation for concordance analysis, helping students build their own corpora of academic articles. So that is something new, innovative, that was recognized as innovative. Independent corpus analysis as well, in particular then reinforcement, knowledge reinforcement through knowledge sharing during the classes. And point 5 is optional, extended activity, where they compare their findings with the British Academic Written English corpus. And lastly, they have to deliver presentations and submit their assignments. One point that I would like to highlight at the end is that if learning is not approached as a process, 1 or 2 demonstrations of the use of concordances will not help the learners move to their desired state of active language knowledge. That's all from me. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you.